Man, I've been looking forward to this day for a long, long time, just to get to stand up here and look at you guys again. So, you too, yeah, I'm sure. You know, we obviously we kicked it off yesterday, had our first practice, and I know you guys weren't there after practice, but you know, I was really pleased with the way they moved around. I mean, it's your typical first day. We're in shorts, and everybody's hopes are high, and you know, they're excited, and they were all flying around. But probably, you know, again, it was more about the recall for the coaches, seeing how much they had done over the summer, what they knew, what they didn't know, and we were really pleased, including all the freshmen that came in for the month of July. You know, we were really pleased with how much the older guys had done with them, how quickly they're picking things up, and so you know, we got quite a bit accomplished yesterday. So, but we got a long way to go. Long way to go.
Questions?
Coach, when you're talking about retention of guys, like what they know, I think in Greensboro, you said year 3 of your system defensively, you know, there could be some growth there. I mean, I guess yesterday, did you like what you saw as far as where, you know, guys flying to the ball and knowing where they're supposed to be without thinking about it?
Yeah, much more. I mean, really, because the guy, you know, right now, I mean, you do have guys over there that have been in the system now for 3 years, and so they don't have to think about it anymore. They know what they're doing. They can react, and they can actually be as good as they can be. I mean, they're because now they don't have to worry about things. I mean, there's not a whole lot of thought process in it. Now they can react to what they're seeing and what's going on and just play ball. Yeah.
What do you think are going to be the 1 or 2 factors that will decide?
1 or 2 factors? Well, I mean, it's going to be, you know, who makes the offense most productive. You know, there's no doubt about it. It's going to be who's the most productive player on the field and who makes the offense most productive. You know, and then on top of that, it's kind of who leads his team the best. You know, and so those are 2 major factors for us. But I mean, production's still going to be number 1.
How far out do you hope to make a decision to give that one guy who wins the job some time to gain some chemistry and cohesion with the offense?
Well, they're doing that now. I don't really worry about that right now because they're all doing that. They're both doing that. They're both getting, you know, all the reps. You know, Queese went with all the 1s yesterday, and Mitch went with all the 2s, and today they flipped. So it's not, you know, it's not like we've got an experienced offensive line that's been there for 4 years and they're looking to build some cohesiveness. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that are new. So, you know, I think the best thing right now is the guys up front, the running backs, the receivers, they don't worry about who's there. I mean, they're just playing, and right now it's you know, I'd say they're doing a great job of that. I think they all feel confident with either kid that's back there.
So this is something that could go right to the very last week before you get ready to start game preparation?
What, the game's on the 30th, right?
Yeah.
We gotta make a decision, you know, that morning sometime, I would imagine. So we gotta put somebody out there for that first snap.
Some of the guys say that Mitch is increasingly vocal on the field. How much of a sign is that of him taking a little bit more ownership?
I think, well, I think that is a good sign. I really do. I think that's a sign that he's trying to lead more. I think he's becoming more comfortable in that role. You know, and that's something where Marquise was ahead of him, you know, going into coming out of spring ball, and a lot of that is just because Marquise has been around here and he's experienced. He's gotten some. He's got quite a bit of game reps under his belt. He's won some football games, taken us to a bowl game, and all those things. So, you know, Marquise, it's a little more natural for him right now, and Mitch has to be a lot more conscious to do it.
Coach, Marquise said he was probably not the best practice player early last year. I think Coach Anderson said you guys might have been too conservative with him at Virginia Tech. Was there a moment you noticed where maybe Marquise was making the leap even in practice, you know, taking a step forward with how he practiced?
Yeah, I would say that really right after that, you know, the game that Bren went down, you saw he became a different player in practice. There was no more waiting for my time to come. It's here, and now I got to do it. And he was a totally different person. I mean, just the way he handled himself. You know, Marquise is a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. He's a great interview. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's very talkative. But you saw, and that's the way he practiced. And then, but after that, you saw him lock in, you saw him focus, you saw him do the things that you knew he was capable of doing. You hadn't seen it a bunch, and now that's what you see, and you saw it from that point on.
Was there a surprise for the coaches in that respect to kind of see if he kind of got it together, practice and game, what he did accomplish?
I don't think a surprise. I think we knew that once he started practicing that way, he would have a lot of success on the field, and it was just the way he was, and I was very pleased, and I will say this because I've said it before, when he took over, he still showed that he had prepared himself all those weeks before. You don't just step out there and do the things he did and not do anything before that. He was preparing himself week in and week out. Even though we may not have known the intensity and the effort that he was putting into it, he was doing it internally, because when he stepped out there, he knew what he was doing and he was ready to go.
How does Mitch's mobility compare to Marquise? When we say the offensive line, how important is that actually?
Well, we've seen Marquise do it in games. We know how he runs in games. We have not seen Mitch in a game run. I've seen him do it in practice, but he hadn't got hit yet. Those quarterbacks aren't live in practice, and so. But Mitch moves around well. I mean, he can run. It's not a question. It's whether he can do it or not. He can do it. We just hadn't seen it. Any other position you guys would like to talk about today?
The offensive line. As far you talked about cohesiveness and everything, well, you've got a lot of new guys there. How is that coming along now compared to where you ended spring practice, and do you see that starting to come together?
Well, I think it's better than where it was when we ended spring. Okay, I think those guys did a great job this summer of spending time together, working together, and trying to grow from where we left off in spring. Plus, you got Peterson back from his surgery, so he's back 100% now. So you got him and Dancy working at that spot there at the left guard. So and you got Bentley Spain back now, healthy from where he was in the spring. So now you have Ferranto and R.J. Prince and him all working, getting reps there at that at that spot at left tackle. Crowley was being very solid there in spring at the center. Landon Turner at the right guard, and John Heck. I mean, and maybe John Heck may have had the best summer of all the offensive linemen. Just the improvements he's made in his body and his mobility and everything. And so, we're still not there yet. I'm not going to say we're ready to play, because we're not. But I'm very confident that Cap will have a group that's ready to go on the 30th. And these guys, but they're not going to be a finished product on the 30th, I don't think either. I think, again, that position, when you're talking about 5 guys knowing what each other's going to do in every situation and how they're going to do it is critical. And so it's going to take some time for them to grow, and we have to understand that as a staff, and we have to understand that as an offense.
You had some attrition up front last week on defense. How concerned are you about the depth situation there, and is there enough time to build some of that depth?
Well, we hope so. I mean, yeah, I'm concerned about it. So we've Jesse Rogers is going to be working inside. I mean, we already had Justin Thompson in there, and now you bring in some young guys that are going to have to get ready to play. With Dinkins and the Clark kid and Tyler Powell. I mean, those guys are going to have to get ready to play. We may do some different things with Mikey Bart. So there's a lot of different ways we can go. We've got to find the best scenario for us, because you're probably going to play 5 guys inside at the 2 tackle spots. I mean, you're going to have 5 guys that are going to roll, and you're very fortunate if you're able to keep those guys healthy the whole year. So we understand that we may not be as big and as thick as we might want to be in there. So we'll probably be doing a lot more moving.
Larry, is that somebody like Devontae Brown, there's a little more urgency for him to step up?
No doubt. I mean, it's a great time and a great opportunity for him. And he had a really good spring, so I mean, in a good summer. And so this will be a good situation for him. He's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of reps. But again, we can't rely on one guy in there. I mean, we're gonna need 5 guys in that rotation, and we gotta develop 5 very quickly.
Switzer and his help, the help that he may have to kind of take the attention away from him in terms?
Well, I mean, we've got some, we got some good guys back there. I mean, you got T.J. Logan. I mean, you got, we've got some guys that can help us in the return game. But I mean, all their eyes are going to be on him. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what teams do, in those situations when he's back there. What are they going to do? Are they going to punt away from him? They're going to, rugby punt. Are they going, I mean, I don't know, punt it out of bounds. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do. So we'll tinker with some different things. We may have 2 return men back there in certain situations. We could, we could do a lot of different things. And so it's for me, it's just been trying to figure out what teams it will do against us and then have an answer for that. But Switz, again, Switz he's in great shape. I mean, he's really worked extremely hard. And, he plans on topping last season. That's his plan. I mean, he wants to be better than he was last year, and that's a great goal to have.
Why would a team punt to him towards the last?
Well, because sometimes it's easier. I mean, it's easy. Well, just punt it out of bounds, right? Well, okay, you punt it out of bounds, but you don't hit it just right, and now you got a 20-yard punt, and you just lost 20 yards of field position. And how many times can you do that in a game before it ends up biting you, I mean, or we're going to punt it away from him. I mean, again, easier said than done, I mean, so there's a lot of things. I mean, and hey, there are teams out there that got a lot of pride in what they do too, and they feel like they'll challenge their coverage teams to do a great job. I mean, they won't just, they won't run scared, I promise you. So, but I think he realized he's probably not going to get all the opportunities he had last year. So we got to make the most of them, And we've talked about that as a return team and the guys that we're working, on that team, what we're going to have to do to make, to be successful this year.
He doesn't lack for confidence. What did you think of his Heisman comments?
What's that?
What did you think of his Heisman comments?
I don't even know what he said. I probably don't want to know.
You can imagine what he said.
I don't know. No, I don't. What did he say?
He basically said that why not? Why not him?
Oh, I don't. Hey, I don't. I mean, that's okay. I got no problem with that. I mean, that's his dream. I mean, that's one of his goals. He told me that before he came here. One was to be an All-American. One was to win a Heisman Trophy. So I'm all for it.
You have no problem with him openly expressing that?
No, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's the kid's goals. I mean, I don't know that he's walking around telling people, that it's a definite deal and he's going to do it and he's going to do it this year or whatever. But I think, I think if you talked personally with any of these kids and talk to them about their goals, you're going to find out that their expectations are very high for themselves. And they should be. I mean, that's what we want. We want them, and we want to, our goal as a staff is to help them reach their dreams and goals, whatever they may be. And so, yeah, I'm all for him feeling that way, and because I know if his goals are that high, that means he understands that's how hard he's going to have to work, because he's got to basically outwork everybody else in the country to be that best player in the country. And so, so it should be a lot of fun to watch him in the future.
On the offensive standpoint, what do you think he's made the best couple of games on the offensive end of things?
Oh, it's going to be of understanding how to play receiver. I mean, he was a running back in high school. He didn't play any receiver. He didn't throw him any balls. He just handed them to him or tossed them to him. So now I think his biggest growth has been understanding what it takes to be a receiver and be a complete receiver, the blocking aspect of it, the importance of blocking on the perimeter, running routes, understanding the whole concept of the route and how your position fits into the route, and then how to get open on the route. I mean, most kids are pretty natural when you put them into a one-on-one situation. You just beat this man, but understanding how to sit down in zones and how to use your body and when you're open and when you're not, and all. I think that's where he's grown the most. I mean, he can catch the football and he can run with it. He sees things that other people can't see. But just learning the nuances of the position, I think, is probably where he's grown the most.
What kind of step forward do you think?
You like to use that word nuance. That was pretty good.
What kind of step forward do you think he can take? I mean, he had some good moments obviously last year.
Yeah, I don't think there is any limit actually. I mean, I think you hadn't even seen last year him even scratch the surface with what he did at the receiver spot. So I think he could break out in that position this year. He really could.
Coach, sticking with the receiver position, can you expand or talk a little bit about Bug Howard? Obviously, he's a tremendous athlete. How is he improving, and just what kind of weapons you guys have out there? Tremendous weapons. Just kind of speak to that for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start with, let me start with the oldest guy out there and the most experienced, Quinshad Davis, and what he's brought to the table. I mean, Quinshad, I looked at it, he was like 218 pounds the other day. I mean, he has really, really developed himself physically. I mean, he's in great shape. He's one of the guys that runs that room because he's kind of, one of the oldest guys in the room now as a junior, because he's had so much experience. But he is, I think he should have a great year. And, with Ebron not in that inside anymore, I mean, we're going to look to him to make more plays on the outside. And I think he will welcome that. He's a very competitive person. TJ Thorpe on the other side, I mean, just had a tremendous spring. A different style of player than Bug and Quinshad because he doesn't have the length, but very explosive and excited about what he's going to bring. Now you start talking about Bug. Bug's, 6'5", and I don't know what he weighs now, 205, 208, somewhere in there. I mean, he's really grown and he's really benefited from Lou's workouts and for the year and the strength staff. And so I think they said he had a 39.5-inch vertical the other day. And there's one thing to be tall. And I know everybody just thinks a guy's tall, he likes to play up there, but they don't always do. I mean, but Bug's one of those guys that likes to play above the rim. I mean, he likes being up in the air. He's very comfortable with his body when he's in the air and his concentration on the ball. So, when you're 6'5" and then you can go 39 inches and you can get up there, I mean, he can do some special things. So he's really, I think probably the area he's grown the most in his route running. I mean, he no trouble catching the football and fearless when he's in the air and all those things. But I think he's really grown in just the way he's able to run his routes and get in and out of his breaks now.
Got time for two more.
What does your kicking situation look like at this point?
As far as the kicker or the punter, or
Hibbert is obviously is the punter. He's been around a while. What about the kicking situation? So it's place kicking.
Yeah. So Thomas Moore and Nick Weiler and Freeman Jones. Oh, that is his first name, isn't it? Yeah, Freeman Jones. Those three guys are the ones that are competing for that job right now, and it's wide open. I mean, and if it'll be great if we have one that can do both, the kickoffs and field goals. But I'm not afraid to use two if we have to. So it's wide open right now, and I mean they all know it's an open competition. It's been that way through spring. We didn't come out after spring and say we've got a guy there, and so it's opened up.
Assess the comfort level with the offensive players. Does that mean a step up since the spring?
Oh yeah, I mean because now he's a whole lot more comfortable, and you got to remember now, Seth's more comfortable with what we're doing because I mean Seth didn't bring his offense in here. What he was used to calling and what the terminology he was used to. Seth has learned this offense and then added some things to it that he brought to it. But he had to learn the terminology. I mean, you could have asked any one of the kids. They were a lot farther ahead than he was. And so obviously he spent a lot of time after spring ball in the summer. And I do think he feels a lot more comfortable just understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the kids he's got and what he can do with them. And so I think we'll see some different things this fall than we even did in spring ball.
Inside Carolina counted something like 15 scholarship players from last year who aren't eligible or aren't playing this year. Obviously, some are success stories like Eric Ebron, Russell Loda, and some aren't. And do you have, considering you're kind of shorthanded anyway with the scholarship reductions, have you had to change or evaluate anything you're doing in the program to kind of keep more guys?
No, I wouldn't do anything different than what we're doing right now. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for a lot of things. I mean, I know a couple guys graduated, and wanted more opportunities for more playing time, and so they moved on, and we had some guys with some personal problems that they had to take care of. I mean, I don't remember all the different issues, but you're right, Ebron and Bodine will probably be starting in the NFL this year. I mean, so there's a lot of different factors in all of those situations. But if you're asking me if I would change the way we're running this program, no, not at all.
For individual game tickets, head to GoHeels.com.